want a ticket straight to them pearly gates.
Harada went to SNK.
What are you talking about? Are you serious? Or are you trolling? You haven't heard? No, I haven't. Whoa! I've heard now.
こんにちは。ゲームディレクターの原田勝弘です。
Last year I asked myself, how should I spend the time I have left as a developer? And it's not with those idiots over at Bandai Namco. I ain't spending another second over there. I wanted a place where I could focus solely on making games with trusted colleagues. I know I said it like twice already, but this makes Bandai Namco look crazy, bro. Harada talked about his growing frustrations with Bandai Namco executives, which may have been the reason for his departure and formation of his new studio. IGN is asking Harada, who do you plan to throw into a volcano this time around for Tekken 8? And Harada said, the first people that came to mind were perhaps certain executives at our company. They change quite frequently, and some of them are only interested in obtaining the highest profits possible to further their careers, and they have no regard for development schedules or brand timelines, so some of them quickly flash into my head. This is the most recent thing that Bandai Namco is up to. Sony to partner with Bandai Namco for generative AI. We're currently engaged in a collaborative pilot initiative with Bandai Namco Holdings to explore how generative AI and the latest technologies can be most effectively contribute to realizing the creator's vision.
He's also the CEO, which means he has a lot of power and control. Something he didn't have at Bandai Namco.
Tekken is facing the most difficult hurdle it's ever faced. Lost their leader, potentially could lose their most important developers. They got GTA 6 on the horizon, and that's already going to take a chop at their player base. No one is excited about the future of the game except for the Moonsault Slayer and all the Kunimitsu fans. This is the toughest time. Virtual Fighter DOA is on the horizon. Those games are taking jabs at Tekken every single interview they can. The Combo Breaker announcement, Kuni new patch sequence, make or break for Tekken 8. Yes, it is make or break. But it's make or break for a whole different reason, because they not only are they trying to win over their audience back, right? Their audience is not happy at all. But more than that, much more than that, they could potentially lose to people who are making the patch. Harada got Saudi money. Would you go work with your beloved old boss and get some Saudi money too? Or would you want to sit under, you know, Bandai Namco closing game to studios entertainment? What would you decide? Would you decide like look, I will show you. Look. Actually, I was gonna look. I'll show you something else regarding Bandai Namco Studios internal personnel reduction. This was back in 2024, right? Previously, the company operated entirely remotely, but mandatory office attendance begun, weeding out employees who could only work remotely due to childcare, elder care, etc. Due to mandatory return to work, there weren't enough seats, so people had to cram more people, resulting in many floors experiencing oxygen deprivation. Come back to work, but also we're not going to give you guys the space to work, so have fun breathing on that hot air together. From May to June, a large number of employees resigned, but this is not to meet the target reduction number. As a result, contracts of temporary and contract employees were terminated. Not enough of you guys are quitting? Well, then you're fired. But this is still not enough to meet the reduction target. The reduction target is them trying to cut down how many people work there. This is Bandai Namco. This is them. This is how they treat their employees. Therefore, permanent employees were sent to departure known as dismissal departments. They have departments where they fire people. Imagine if your job tells you you're going to be relocated to the dismissal department, a department designed to fire you, where they're given no work, but their performance evaluations were lowered to encourage involuntary resignation. Nearly 100 employees have been transferred to standby departments. Currently, in departments designed to discourage resignation, employees are being given no work and various excuses are being made to encourage them to quit. They want them to quit. Come on, quit. We want you to quit. This is Bandai Namco. You know that this thing that we're reading right now, this comes from an employee. An employee leaked this to the press because that's how bad it was. Bandai Namco was doing this behind closed doors and no one knew until an employee released this to the press. And this ain't the only one. This one is September 17th, 2024. Continued. They hit you with a to be continued like it's an anime. For those of you who don't know, Bandai Namco Studios is different from Bandai Namco Entertainment. which is different from Bandai Namco Holdings. Bandai Namco Entertainment is like the mega corporation. Bandai Namco Holdings is a different thing. We won't talk about that. Bandai Namco Studios is what makes the game. This is where Tekken is a part of. This is where all the games are created, right? So Bandai Namco Studios, where Harada would have been operating, all of this madness was going on. He probably was looking around like, ain't no way. That boy Harada was horrified with what Bandai Namco was doing. Oh my God. I can't believe it. But once again, he has his own department studio now, full control. You can see that this had a real impact on him. He has full control now. And this will not happen in his studio. This reveals the current situation at Bandai Namco Studios, and 2 further measures are currently being taken. Searching for flaws by digging into past events and PC logos, investigating employees' PC logs and work performance over several years, and if even the slightest flaw is found, using it as a pretext to telling them you have been engaged in problematic behavior in the past, so there is no further future for you in the company. Think about that, bro. They started looking through the history of each employee, and they wanted to find anything you did wrong so they could say, you are a bad employee. Oh, you've been late 5 times in the past decade. You get out of here. You make me sick to my... This is the real Bandai Namco. I'm making a lot of jokes and I'm laughing a lot. It's not really that funny. But it's funny because this is how evil the corporation is. And it's good that Bandai Namco, it's good that Harada is creating a space where this will no longer happen. And it's also good that Bandai Namco is getting hate the way that they are. They're one of the most hated corporations in video games. There's not much creative freedom there, right? When you think like, oh, why aren't the recent battle passes that Tekken done, why aren't they putting them back into the game? Because this is what they're dealing with. They're dealing with some Bandai Namco executive idiot breathing down their neck and looking in their history and trying to fire them, moving them to dismiss. This is what they're dealing with. So this is why I try to give Tekken some leeway, because this is the real thing that's going on. And this is why Harada left. There is no secret about why Harada left. I know people like, oh, but this is, once again, this is from, look, it said leak press will continue. Whistleblower. It's a whistleblower. That's how this came to light. Negative rumors about employees who have confirmed their resignation to the companies, contracting employees who have confirmed their resignation and telling them things like, you should avoid associating with a person named particularly modified to obstruct their job search at other companies. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Not only do they want you gone, but they're going to try to prevent you from getting jobs elsewhere. Evil. They would say things like, you should avoid associating with this person to obstruct their search at other companies. Bandai Namco, the biggest gaming company in Japan besides Nintendo and Sony, the people who make the studios, are standing in the way of developers in all facets. Put that in perspective, right? When you see Harada making this new company and he's talking in this, what's it called, about the creation of this, and you know, all the things that Dell listed, where he's talking about trusted colleagues, right? These words hit harder now, right? These words hit harder. Trusted colleagues, dedicate our time to creating true games, and you know, opportunity, vision, continuous support, long term. It's different now, right? You see all of these people who Bandai Namco has wronged. And there's a lot of people like this. Because, okay, now let me show you another thing. We just read the thing about Bandai Namco trying to, sabotage their own employees. And in 2023, they had 1,219 employees, right? This is a screenshot from their website. This is the actual website right now. And you can see the last time it was updated was 2025. They have not updated it since. And they lost, now it says 1,057 employees. We know that this number will be lower for certain because Harada's not there, right? Harada left after April 1st. The other developer left after April 1st. This number will be smaller because these things that Bandai Namco is doing, this right here, this is not stopped. It's continuing, right? And Bandai Namco and Harada's out of there, right? He's done with it. Bandai Namco announces company restructuring, personnel changes. The fact that Sony is mixed into all of this is yikes too, because those guys are idiots as well. It's pretty interesting, right? You have Sony and Bandai Namco both teaming up to kill gaming. These idiots. Where's the thing? It says Bandai Namco Holdings, right? Notice how I said Bandai Namco Entertainment, Holdings, and Studios are different. Now we're talking about Bandai Namco Holdings. Bandai Namco Holdings and Sony Group Corporation signed a strategic partnership, strategic business alliance agreement in July. Sony also agreed to acquire 16 million Bandai Namco shares held by existing shareholders, 464 million USD, making Sony a shareholder holding approximately 2.5% of the total issue shares of Bandai Namco. And they're using this power to just wreak havoc. Tekken fumbled Harada, crazy. Bandai Namco fumbled Harada. But it's really just like what Bandai Namco has become. This whole situation, it was created because of what they've become. They become a company that's driven by profit and nothing else. They don't care about you. They don't care about the employees. They don't care about nothing. The CEO that Harada would have called a friend was probably long gone. He talked about how they changed executives and whatnot very frequently. And a lot of those guys don't know who Harada is, and they don't know this. They don't know who that is. They don't really care. They're just there to make some money. And whatever is standing in the way of that is going to be a problem. The company is so big. They have so much power, so much influence, so much control over stuff. And Tekken is such a small portion of that. And you can see it in the marketing where the only thing that they do with Tekken is try to make money off of it. They turned the game into this like advertisement where you could put stuff, literal advertisement in the game, and they could make 850,000 by doing so. And then also the only real meaningful thing that they want to do is like put Tekken on t-shirts and hope that the players buy it. And then they also want to do some mobile game collaborations, mobile games that will pay Bandai Namco to use the Tekken name, then boom, you can use it and whatnot. And they're not just doing that for Tekken, but they're doing that for anything. This is why Capcom, you see them doing so many more interesting collaborations and so many more interesting ideas and things, is because they aren't corrupted like that. Yes, they want money, but they understand that you should make a good property, and they also don't have leverage like that, right? They also don't have the power that Bandai Namco has. They don't have control over so many legendary anime properties, right?